Tracy, one of your registered dietitians. Welcome to this Kids Cook at Home class, Back to School Bites. I can't believe that it is already back to school season. I know how busy this time of year can get and how nice it is to have a few simple recipes on hand. So today I have 2 tasty recipes that are great for back to school. So let's go ahead, jump in. As always, let's wash our hands first. Our first recipe for today is super fun because it has a secret ingredient that gives it an extra boost of protein. And protein is what helps our muscles grow strong so we can do things like run and play during the school day. And that secret ingredient is cottage cheese. So the cottage cheese blends up super well and makes for some tasty muffins. So our first recipe for today is cottage cheese blueberry muffins. So we can go ahead and start out by preheating our oven to 350 degrees, and then we'll be lining a muffin tin. So you can grab some reusable or disposable muffin liners, and we will start out by just plopping one in each slot. All right, and then when we are all done with that, we will move on to our next step, which will be to crack the eggs for this recipe. So go ahead and grab out 2 eggs and a small bowl. So let's go ahead and crack both eggs. You can go ahead and pick an egg up, and we are just going to lightly tap it on the counter. And then where that crack appears, we can push both thumbs into, pull apart the shell. And there we go. Then we'll go ahead and do that with our second egg. And then once you have cracked both eggs, make sure to wash your hands anytime that we are working with raw eggs. We want to make sure that we practice food safety and get our hands nice and clean afterwards. Our next step is to measure out 1/2 cup of milk. So anytime that we are measuring out liquids, we want to use a liquid measuring cup and make sure that we get eye level to the line so we know that the amount is accurate. So we can go ahead, get down to eye level with a measuring cup lines and measure out that 1/2 cup. And then once you have that measured out, you can go grab all the other ingredients except the blueberries and the flour, and then we will meet back here and move on to our next step. Now we will go ahead and add all of these ingredients to a large bowl. And remember, that's all of the ingredients except the blueberries and the flour. So we can go ahead and grab our oats, our milk, our eggs, our cottage cheese, our cinnamon and baking powder, baking soda, vanilla, honey, and 1 banana. So we can go ahead and peel our banana. Drop that in. And then our next step will be to either grab an immersion blender or a blender to blend all of this up. So you can go ahead and grab that now. Our next step is to blend all of this together. So again, I have an immersion blender, but you can also use a blender and dump everything into that and blend it up that way as well. So let's go ahead and do that now. Our next step will be to coat our blueberries in flour. So this will prevent the blueberries from falling to the bottom of our muffin, so they're kind of equal throughout the muffin. So we can take our blueberries and our flour and just make sure that those are nice, evenly coated with the flour. And then from there, we can grab our batter. We are going to pour our blueberries in. And then fold in the blueberries. right, and then we can go ahead and grab our muffin tin and we will go to our next step and fill those up with the batter. So now we can go ahead and start filling each slot. So we can just take a scoop. I have a 1/4 measuring cup and go ahead and fill each one. And when you are finished filling your muffin tin, you can go ahead and pop those in the oven. Once you grab your muffins out of the oven, you can check that they're done by inserting a toothpick or a knife in the center. And if it comes out clean, that means that they are ready to go. And so with that, we can move on to our next recipe. Our next recipe is for our apple nachos. So let's start out by washing our apples. So if you haven't done that, then go ahead and do that now. Once you have washed your apples, then our next step is to slice our apples. So you can go ahead, grab your apple, a knife, and make sure to have an adult assist you with this next cutting step. So we are going to cut 4 chunks off of our apple. So we'll start by making 1 cut and then move around the apple. And then we can go ahead and set the core aside. And then if you have any chunks left over, you can kind of just slice those off, or if you got any of the core. So then we will place all of our slices face down, and we can go ahead and start slicing them. So you can make these slices as thin or as thick as you would like. And then as we cut, just make sure we are keeping our fingers away from the knife using our claw grip. So there's one, and then we'll go ahead and just continue this with our remaining slices. And then depending how many apples you want, you can stick with the 1 apple, or if you are eating with some friends, you can cut up 2 apples. So if you'd like to cut up another apple, you can go ahead and pause and do that now. Once all of your apples have been sliced, then our next step is to arrange them on a plate. So you can get creative with this step and arrange them in a fun pattern or however you wish to on the plate. So let's go ahead and do that now. Right, and once you have your apples arranged on your plate, then you can go ahead and grab the remaining ingredients, and we will finish up with our apple nachos. If you have any left over, you can make another plate, or you can throw those in the fridge for a snack for later on. So we can put the toppings on our apple nachos. So I have some blueberries. We can start by sprinkling those on. And the great thing about this recipe is you can make it how you like it. So you can put as many or as little as you like of each ingredient. And then I have some granola. And again, you can choose any flavor granola that you like. I'm just going to sprinkle that evenly across. And then next up, we have our Greek yogurt. And we will just take a spoon and lightly drizzle that across. And then lastly, you can choose your nut butter of choice. I have sun butter, so it's already pretty thin to drizzle, but if you have a thicker nut butter, you can go ahead and pop that in the microwave for a few seconds to thin that out a little bit. So we'll do the same thing where we'll just drizzle that across the nachos. And that completes our apple nacho recipe. So you can go ahead and enjoy this, and that completes our last recipe. Thank you so much for joining me for this Kids Cook at Home class, Back to School Bites. A special thank you to our friends at Midwest Dairy for making this class possible. And don't forget to fill out our after class survey. You can find that at the bottom of the setup guide. Otherwise, it will be emailed to you in a separate email about 1 week after the class launches. Thank you again. I hope everyone has a fantastic back to school season. Our next class is in October, and we hope that you join us then.